Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 1-minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco. And Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what makes for a great F1 race car driver?
I imagine that they'd have to have hands and feet.
Okay, in addition to that, and might I add, thanks to the great people at motorsport.tech, because they had a great article about this, handling skills, engineering knowledge, interactions with your team, financing, talent, and luck.
And you must be short.
And they do. There is a limit, obviously.
There is a limit, like jockeys. There's only a certain amount.
This is correct. Fighter pilots, jockeys, race car drivers.
Yep.
Now, but here's some things I did not realize in an F1 car. And I know we're talking about cars of different ages and stuff. These are not the most modern.
Yeah.
But here's something I didn't know. Do you know that the average F1 race car driver loses 4 pounds during the race?
Whoa.
Because the average temperature in an F1 cockpit is between 122 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, so they sweat it out?
Yes.
Where does it go?
Exactly right. Like, because
are they just continually moist?
That's what it sounds like.
Oh wow! They should just make those racing suits out of terry cloth.
Well, no, but I mean, obviously because of safety and
of course,
fire retardant materials and everything else. I mean, and for those of you who don't know, it's around 50 to like 63 degrees Celsius. So, I mean, super hot. Like, what? That's insane because it clearly doesn't have an air conditioner.
Yeah.
And yes, you're going very fast, but whoa, right? So there's that. Okay, second, you got reflexes. Now, the reflexes that are needed, the average person, ordinary person, has a reflex time, a reaction rate of 300 milliseconds. F1 Formula Racers, 100 milliseconds.
Wow.
Okay, that's better, right? Okay, and then I talked about, interacting with your team. The race cars today have telemetry sensors that gather about 1 terabyte of data over the course of a race weekend. That means that when you're racing, it's not just you in the car just racing. You're hitting the gas and the brake and the steering wheel. Everyone else is monitoring fuel consumption, temperatures, tire wear, all of these things, and all of that together is what creates a successful racing experience and a successful racing team.
And gumption.
Well, of course that. And you got to be crazy, too.
And you got to be a little bit crazy, yeah.
Now, can you imagine knowing all this? If right before the race, someone came in, whoever that person may be, and said, yeah I'm going to drive the car. None of that sounds like a good idea.
No.
And we're going to talk about the reaction. One of my favorite reactions in this entire movie is from the original driver of this car.
Yeah. Because here we are at minute 30 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, directed by Mr. Jon Favreau. And we're reaching pretty near you'd think it'd be near the bottom of Tony Stark's bottoming out, but oh no, there's more bottom to go. Because he starts the minute by looking into the mirror and dead into camera saying, "Got any other bad ideas?" Which is a weird line, but it does show a little bit of regret. Like, hey, maybe I've just been kind of a jerk and doing really stupid stuff over the last couple of days. And also I'm about to do something really stupid too. So maybe it is showing a little bit of insight in terms of that.
It's insight in that I think it does acknowledge that he realizes that a lot of what he's been doing is a bad idea.
Yeah.
So I do like that. However, it makes you think that, again, what he's about to do, which was going to happen in the next second, is that it was off the cuff, and it clearly was not off the cuff.
It was not off the cuff. No, I do not believe that for a second.
No, we've talked about this, in that you can see that in the one deleted scene, that this racetrack was already in his computer in the workshop, and he walks in with Pepper, and he's like, "Look, for the next 20 minutes," and indeed, in the next 20 minutes, stuff's about to happen. You're not going to be very happy. Please roll with it. This is part of that plan.
So yeah, immediately cut from the thing, and so what we're meant to assume is that Tony then sneaks out of the Hotel de Paris, and then heads down, and then gets changed, and goes on to the track, because next time we see them, he's in a blue Stark jumpsuit, a racing suit, on his way to visit his car on the track. Now, the big question is, why is the suit blue and why is the car blue? And the answer is Robert Downey Jr. When they were putting this up together, he specifically said, yeah, it should be blue. And Jon Favreau was like, Iron Man's thing is red and sometimes gold. Shouldn't it be red? No, blue. Has to be blue. Needs to be blue. So we went, okay, right. Robert Downey Jr. took it really seriously. So he's like, all right, I guess we're making it blue. And so that's why it's blue. No really official explanation. Just that's what Robert Downey Jr. wanted. So
these
blue.
No, those are the kind of stories we talked about this at the beginning of the movie.
From the commentary.
The color problems in the Stark Expo logo that we said. I really wonder if some days it's just like, hey, make those red. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone goes, okay, hey, change it over to red.
So clearly, like you said, this had to be printed because that is a tailored suit.
Yeah.
I mean, like that is like like 100% he brought that with him.
Yes.
Or at least has a Stark device that can, like generate it or whatever.
No, and we're not even that far along yet.
No, I don't think so. So I really think this was actually a create, and he brought it with him, knowing full well this is what he was going to do, and this is what I was talking about before. This is the bucket list. Like, you're going to die. Well, before I die, I'm going to drive a race car.
Right.
And so this is exactly what he's doing. He owns a race car. He's about to drive it. Right. But meanwhile, back in the Hotel Paris.
Pick up the hammer.
Justin Hammer still having his quote-unquote interview. I don't know, though I think it's falling apart rapidly with Christine. So he's saying, I love Tony Stark. He loves me. We're not competitors. Him being out of the picture created tremendous opportunity for Hammer Industries, which is true. Right. The first part of the thing is totally wrong. Now, either it's him trying to spin or he really is that delusional that he thinks that, like, oh no, we're buddies. We just like mess each other around and we, say insulting things to each other. Him more than me, but we're in it together.
Well, again, no situational awareness here.
Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't get the social cues.
He's ejecting all that because he wants it to be in his reality. Now we get that.
But the second part is true. I mean, like, Stark Industries stepped down, somebody had to step up, and so Hammer Industries was there, and it probably had been making quite a bit of money on the market, because we've seen Hammer Tech is out there. It's still going. Even in the current Marvel Avengers game, there's a bunch of Hammer Tech in there. So Hammer Industries is still going strong.
And hopefully we will see them. You're wearing the Hammer.
I'm wearing the Hammer Industries shirt. Yes, I am.
I still put out hope that we will see the return of Justin Hammer.
Me too.
Someday.
Me too. Long overdue. There's a couple characters that deserve to be primarily featured. That's true. And since they're doing all of these television shows, why not? Right. Marvel, just as a free thing. Just between me and you. Everybody just step aside. I'm just going to talk to Marvel for a minute. Hey, Marvel, how are you? So a while back, you commissioned a War Machine script and never got used it. You know what would really handy right now? To make a War Machine Disney Plus series. And you know who the main antagonist should be? That's right. You have been listening. Justin Hammer. Fresh out of prison, newly reformed, and back on the prowl. And now he has to work with Rhodey, who is still working for the military. And so is Hammer. Strange bedfellows. Come on, it's right there. And think of all the villains you could throw in, all the tech villains you haven't had a chance to deal with yet. Come on, Marvel, it's right there waiting for you.
Do you know what I would take?
We love you.
Not only would I take that.
Yes.
I would take Sam Rockwell in an animated episode of What If. And I can't believe I talk about What If so much when we haven't even seen a single episode of it yet.
We've seen like one 3-minute trailer, and that was it.
Here's what I want. I want to see an episode of What If where at this event, a horrible accident happens, taking out 2 people, a grounds crew member and Tony Stark.
Oh.
And Justin Hammer becomes Iron Man.
Okay.
I don't know where that
I'd be interested to see how things would develop from there on. I can imagine like Hammer in a suit, having to do the events of Iron Man 3 or even Avengers Infinity War.
And what if he falls in love with Pepper and then there's a whole thing like,
and then Adrich Killian shows up and oh man.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to go.
Hammer Stark. They merged the two companies together.
Or just Stammer.
Ooh, you know what? I bet you there's fanfic of Stammer.
Oh my God! All right, why are we going through some interludes? Because I got to tell you, people, there's not a whole lot more to this minute.
No, there's really not a whole lot going on. So then we cut to Tony, and Tony's on the track, and so then now we see Hammer and Christine are looking up, and as this news conference is like, there's big news, there's breaking news here at the historic Grand Prix. Tony Stark is going to drive the car. He says, "What's the use of having and owning a race car if you don't drive it?" And all of a sudden it's like, he's gonna what?
Yeah. Well, and you got the payoff of the scene earlier that we talked about where where Justin's like, dude, you're all just like us. You're just a rich guy with a fancy car.
Yeah.
Now here's the moment where he's like, oh God. And I love this. Knowing, well, first of all, I mean, just the whole thing between the character of Christine Everhart and Justin Hammer. Once he's on the screen and this TV is behind Justin Hammer.
Yeah.
She's just looking at it. Justin Hammer's, babbling about all this stuff about him and Tony being friends. She's just looking at the screen.
Yeah.
He finally, and another moment of Justin Hammer getting the message a little delayed, turns around, is like, what's the deal, right? He does it again.
Yeah.
His character does the 180 again, hits it, sees what's happening, and comes back. And you could tell he's this puppy dog that is like, I'm trying to do everything I can, but good God, Anthony, give me a break.
And Christine is a good journalist. She's seen the bigger story. Nobody's gonna be talking about Hammer being there. They're gonna be talking about this, and so I need to get in on that. So we see then you like you talked about earlier on. We see the actual driver. So can you imagine this poor guy? Like you had to work and race all the way up and win in order to become the racer for Stark. Like this is what he does. This is what his job is. This is what he loves. He's getting to race in the historic Grand Prix. And then the guy whose name is on the car shows up and goes, no. I'm going to do this one. You can just sit it out. You kidding me?
It's worse than that, because if you watch that clip, because you focus on the guy throwing the helmet down, right?
Yeah.
No, Tony gives him the go away with his hand, like the shoe little bird.
Shoe employee.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So then Richard Branson shows up and wants to fly the plane. Like,
yes.
Come on.
Elon Musk comes in. Elon's going to do this. He's going to pull this one day. He's going to show up and he's like, all right, one of you get out of the rocket.
I'm taking this one up.
What are you talking about? What do you mean? No, I mean, this is just really, you can totally sense the frustration. And then when you learn about what it takes to actually drive one of those cars.
Yeah.
Dude.
This is a terrible, terrible idea.
Terrible idea.
But there's no way it's going to end badly.
Well, no, because, Tony Stark is smart.
Yeah, because Tony Stark, what are the odds?
And it's the one, I'm going to tell you this. I've read a few articles about this. This particular race. It's not the hardest of like the Grand Prix, because they've actually, in the last couple of years, they've actually moved all the barriers farther apart, apparently.
Oh.
And so the winding turns, like I guess there's an area by a swimming pool and like everyone talks about it. It's changed quite a bit in that most people are like, you still have to have a lot of training and understanding, but Tony probably could pull this off. As long as there's nobody there to thwart him directly.
Yeah, the security here in Monaco is pretty tight. Then somebody could just like walk onto the track.
Nobody's doing that.
No.
Not here. Pepper has nothing to be worried about.
No. So as the list comes up of all the racers, there's a couple of nods that we put in here, as far as you can tell. They say Locke is one of the drivers here. That probably is Chris Locke, because he donated a bunch of the cars. So like a bunch of the cars you see are actually owned by him. So it's probably a nice way of paying him back. And then Chapman is probably a reference to Colin Chapman, who's an F1 team manager. Those are the only ones that I could find. I'm not sure. But speaking of Pepper, so Tony, you've had this fantastic table and got it all in the corner, and there's Pepper all by herself, just sitting there like, so anyone coming to just sitting here by myself? Just got off the plane. What's happening? Haven't even checked into the hotel room yet. So then she sees the report of what's going on. Tony's about to drive the F1 car, which is super dangerous. And so she says, Natalie, did you know about this? And Natalie says, this is the first that I've known of it, which is odd phrasing and probably a lie. Like, of anybody on this crew who knew this was going to happen, probably Natalie. And
that statement
maybe Happy.
Right. That statement is true if by I you mean the character that I'm currently portraying, try to infiltrate
Yeah.
your business. And if you mean by new, knowing that I didn't know when it was going to happen in the last 2 minutes, then yes, you're right. Did not know. No,
So,
even the whole way, in fact, even that Pepper responds with, I mean, Pepper immediately goes into crisis mode, right?
Yes.
Immediately. But I also love the fact that she's in this table by herself alone. She then just is like, Natalie was like 3 steps away from her because she literally enters the shot immediately. It gives you that impression. Like there's no hesitation.
Like, as soon as she knows she's going to ask for it. Because if you're a personal assistant, the one thing you know is where your person is.
Right, exactly.
And so as soon as he left there, she'd have known.
Right.
Even if she wasn't Black Widow, just the person doing a job, she probably would have been standing outside the bathroom waiting to come in. Like, she probably would have helped him out the side. Like, she 100% knew what was going on.
Is it safe to assume that there are eyes on him?
Oh, I would imagine. I mean, he's got to have more than just Happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I mean, there's other S.H.I.E.L.D. people there that I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, we
that
guess.
are in control of the whole situation. So,
Yeah.
I mean, well, maybe we'll see.
Well,
but
at least there.
At least understanding
Observing.
Tony, yes, observing. I would assume that that's the case.
Yeah. So she said, Pepper says, this absolutely cannot happen. She says, this cannot happen. And Natalie says, absolutely. I understand. How can I help you?
And then Pepper in a really weird response goes, get Happy.
Yeah.
What's Happy gonna do?
He's waiting outside because we didn't see him actually come through. Actually, he's behind the camera. Oh, I mean, no, that's Jon Favreau. Happy is
Nice.
She said, "Okay, I'll get him. I need it." And so Natalie, right away, so she exits to go and do this. So meanwhile, then Justin Hammer is still trying to salvage this interview. So he's like realizing that it's slipping away from him as he watches that Christine is 100% like, there's the news story,
right?
And so he's trying to like, where was I? Let me see. So he's like, where? Tony said, "Oh, we're not competitive." You know what I mean? And Christine's like, yeah. like she's already checked out. She's already gone. And that is actually where the minute comes to an end.
Did you not like with Pepper and Natalie when she goes, go get Happy? Wouldn't it have been funny if Natalie was like, well, do you think he'll be okay with that? She should have left. But no, it's the urgency of the whole thing. It's fine.
Yeah.
That would have been, we've already had some silly humor in the last few minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. I wonder if he wins the race, that's kind of ridiculous, right? I mean,
yeah.
What's the worst that could happen?
Well, as long as they have strict track control, I think everything's going to turn out great. Because if there's one thing we know about Iron Man 2, it's everything turns out great. From
it's not like he's racing
characters to audience. Everything's going to be great.
Maybe Mater will mess this up. An amazing mishmash of Tony Stark in the race with Lightning McQueen and
you hurt your what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, we got you through. We got you through the 5 minutes that you were fearing.
Whew. Yeah, exactly. Man, it's been a slog. So if anybody else feels the same way or just wants to commiserate me on the feeling I have, you can do so over on our Facebook group because we have a group dedicated just for this, not just posting randomly. No. We have a secret place where we can gather to talk about these things. It's called the Marvel Movie Minute and Next Reel Film Podcast Executive Lounge.
It's kind of like a corner table.
Yeah, it's a corner table on the internet.
But you won't be alone.
No, it'll be us and you. And like Tony abandoned Pepper, we would never abandon you there.
No. Except
So-
for now, there's other places where I do like bail. Like I think we've talked about.
Oh,
that.
yes.
But
Yeah.
not Facebook. No.
No. Not the lounge, I think you mean. We bail on Facebook, but we never bail on the lounge.
I mean, it's all complicated these days, everybody.
but you know what's not complicated? Is the URL to get there, because it's
Oh.
facebook.com/groups/the next reel. Ask for membership because we're trying to keep out the bots and the weirdos. As long as you're neither of those, you're welcome at our corner table anytime. Maybe we should change it to the Marvel Movie Minute corner table.
The corner table. They're not going to, no one's going to approve that. Nobody.
So Tony Stark's mild, calm stroll around the block, his easy Sunday drive begins in minute 31, and you don't want to miss the uneventful ride he takes as he takes one lap and then gives up, because I'm sure nothing terrible is going to happen.
Nothing.
Nothing. Make sure you don't miss it. Enough said.
Bye.